Companies know that anything Tolkien related will sell extremely well, unless, of course, they're intentionally trying to go out of their way to make a pile of trash like the Rings of Power. But the upcoming Tales of the Shire game was initially extremely hyped, though now that we've seen more gameplay and we're seeing a delay, we can tell that it's DEI slop. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I was initially extremely excited for this game because I love Tolkien's work. I have shelves of it behind me. The video games are fantastic, and I try to support these projects even if they only look half decent. I mean, hey, I still gave Gollum a shot. I gave the Mines of Moria game a shot, which it wasn't half bad, but this from the start I've had some worries about, particularly because of the graphics. While I am fine with graphics that are not like hyper realistic, unfortunately it just looked like this was a very low effort game, like they really were trying to just throw something together, call it like a cozy farming slash life sim, get Stardew Valley fans interested. And while I do think that it still looks very cute and cozy, though the graphics look pretty rough, now we're of course seeing that this is not a game that really highlights the spirit of Tolkien's work. It is continued revisionism of his work because they have character customization systems, of course, different types of NPCs in this game, and they are highlighting black hobbits. Now, I am happy to hear, from what we understand so far, that there are no established characters that are going to show up in this game. So it's not like we're going to see like a Gandalf. It's not like we're going to see a Bilbo. So we don't have to worry about established characters being, like race swapped. But at the same time, they are definitely going down the route that we have seen a lot of Tolkien's work go down over the past couple of years. Look at something like the Rings of Power and all of the, race swaps that were in there, and then them having, plenty of black characters. We have seen the War of the Rohirrim, which is a female-centric film, and I still hope it ends up being half decent, though I'm definitely worried about it. And while I personally, of course, do not mind seeing black individuals or black creatures and different races right within my entertainment, and most people do not, it really just shows that these individuals behind this project were not particularly worried about accuracy. They were not following the spirit of his creations, and I know that there are areas in his stories that weren't complete, but it still looks like they just kind of threw everything away in order to make a game for modern audiences. What Tolkien's work would be if it was created in the modern day, which is ridiculous, in my opinion. And when you really start looking at the people who made this game, it's not very shocking. Now, hey, I'm not one to judge when it comes to, dyed hair. I'd be a bit of a hypocrite. But when I see, dyed hair individuals that are all women dominating the team here, it is a little bit worried because they talk about how, they love hobbits because, let's be honest, they were paid to love hobbits. I am not very convinced that these people are genuine Tolkien fans, or else they wouldn't have gone in this creative direction. And it's not like the whole entire team behind this game is just, women. That's not the case. There are plenty of men who helped create this game. And while it should not matter who helped create the game, if they can make a good game, so far we're not seeing a lot of good here. And what's extremely disappointing for me is the fact that the development studio behind this is Weta. Weta has only, made like 2 other games, but Weta Workshop, they do a lot of collectibles, but the reason they're so important here is because they produced sets, costumes, armor, weapons, creatures, and miniatures for the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movie trilogies, so they were behind the golden days of Tolkien's work. They were behind a lot of the amazing content that we still love and cherish. I know the Hobbit trilogy is a bit more controversial. I completely agree. They definitely stretched it thin with the movies, but there were still really good moments within those. They visually were very good. And then, of course, the Lord of the Ring trilogy is absolute god tier, 10 out of 10. but they have been a part of the golden days of Tolkien's work. So they, instead of going that route and making buckets of money, decided to push this DEI slop, which is just so heartbreaking for me because this was a game that looked pretty good initially when they were, of course, cherry picking what they were showing us, and they were highlighting only characters that looked like Bilbo or Frodo because they're trying to, get you all nostalgic so you swipe your credit card. And a lot of people on social media are not happy with what we have seen. People are voicing how disappointed they are. We want Tales of the Shire to feel like a warm hug. What it actually feels like is a giant kick to the bollocks of Tolkien and the Anglo-English mythology. He worked tirelessly to create. Yeah, I say this all the time. If you want to make a product that is similar to Lord of the Rings, but it highlights diversity and it's very inclusive, go for it. I 100% think that you should try it because you are allowed to, but at the same time, this was not Tolkien's work. He did not have black hobbits galore. He did not have tons of real world diversity, and that should not be seen as a negative thing because at the end of the day, this was his creation, and this is the direction he decided to go in. If you sit here and you make a game based on something like African mythology, or you write a book based on African mythology, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there should be more white people in it. That would be ridiculous. You have your creative direction. He had his creative direction, and we owe it to him and his amazing work to respect what he created. But there are people out there who just view it as needing to be modernized, which is not a winning strategy based on how many people are extremely upset. And here is, yes, a picture of the full studio. And yeah, it's not just women, but at the same time, you can clearly see that they definitely tried to hire a lot of people who would fall in the, inclusive category. They probably have a checklist of people that they have to hire, certain amount of people of color, certain amount of women. Who knows, right? These things should not exist, but at the same time, people are kind of pointing and laughing and saying, yikes, guys. Red flags abound, overemphasis on environments, near androgynous character designs, girl power vibes in the trailer. What is the over under on Tales of the Shire having gay hobbits? Yeah, we do not know how they are going to handle romances at this point in time, if they're going to be romances, but yes, there is definitely a androgynous look to the characters. We have not seen the full scope of the character creation system yet, so I'm trying to give them a tiny bit of wiggle room because maybe they will end up, changing things as they delay it, because this actually was delayed, but we don't know at this point in time why it was delayed. This game has been in development for a couple of years at this point, and it just looks like they really haven't done much of anything to it. And was supposed to come out in 2024. They delayed it into 2025. They didn't really specify when next year, but I do think that when it launches, it is going to face a lot of backlash unless they make drastic changes, and I highly doubt they're going to do that. So it's just a really disappointing situation all around. This was a game I was initially pretty excited for, but it looks like they have decided to go in a very interesting direction, aka the DEI slop direction. So I'll be keeping my eye on it. If there are any updates, I will let you guys know. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.